Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you're watching this video, welcome back to your mats. I am Diane Bondi. I believe in accessible yoga, fitness, movement, joyful movement, moving around the mat, changing the world, all the good things. If any of this stuff interests you at all, why don't you consider subscribing to my channel where we talk about all these things. You can hit the subscription bar below and tick off the bell to be notified every single time I upload a video. So thank you so much for being here. Today's practice is going to be a practice where I use blocks and a blanket to move through my practice. And we're going to start today in seated. This practice will be, give or take, between 10 and 15 minutes. And we'll start with a really nice breathing practice. So there's a couple ways we can connect with our breath. We can bring our right hand to our belly and our left hand to our heart if we like, or we can bring both hands to our outer rib cage and just observe the breath. And I don't want you to change your breath in any way. I just want you to observe the inhales and the exhales, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the jaw, and just breathing deeply and slowly. And now if you like, you can close your lips and let the breath move through the nose only. Good. Inhale and exhale. You can release your hands, placing your hands on your knees. Let's tuck the chin to the chest and round our spine, and then on the inhale, slide the hands back toward the hips and take the gaze up toward the sky. So we're just tucking the chin to the chest, rolling in and rolling back, allowing yourself just to move with the breath. And then coming back to seated, bringing your right hand on the floor. Let's stretch our left arm up and over, and then sweep the left hand to the floor and inhale your right arm up and over. And I just want you to find your breath and continue to move. Notice how you feel in your body as you're moving through this practice. Just relieving a little bit of stress here today, taking it nice and easy today. And then when you're ready, taking your right hand to the floor, left arm up and over, and then place the left hand on the knee, right fingertips behind us. Root down through your sit bones and let's twist. And then unwind. Both hands come back to the knees. Inhale, reach all the way up and over, and then bring your right hand to your left knee and your left fingertips to twist, rooting down through the sit bones. And coming back through center. And let's come on to our hands and knees here. I have padded my knees for this particular practice. My knees need a little bit of extra love lately. You can use a blanket if you find you need a little extra cushion. If you have a Lifeform mat, they come with these really great pads that you can slide on the bottom here, and you can see the link where you can get the pads in the description box of this video. But sometimes I like to have this plus a blanket, but today I think just the pad will be good. And this feels really delicious and delectable on the knees. So we're going to come back to our cat-cow seated. So I want us to plug our arm bones in, squeeze the shoulder blades onto the back, and then pressing into the arms, tuck the chin to the chest, and round the back up to the ceiling. Inhale, plug in, lower down, look up. Exhale and round. And let's do 4 more of these. Beautiful. Come back to your flat back. Send your right arm out to the right and slide your right arm underneath your left. Bring your forehead to the floor. Take a moment to take a twist here. Now, if your head doesn't quite make it to the floor, you can place a blanket, block, or bolster underneath your head here. Good. Let's inhale. Press down into the left hand. Reach the right arm up to the sky. And now plant that right hand. Inhale the left arm out to the left. And then slide the left arm underneath the right. Releasing your head toward the floor. Feeling the stretch in the back. And then inhale, reach the arm up to the sky. Now bringing your hands far to the top of your mat, taking your knees out nice and wide, bringing your forehead down to either a block or to the floor, taking a puppy pose. Make sure your knees are out nice and wide. You can either rest your head on the floor or keep the head lifted, whatever makes sense for you. And now make your way up into a tabletop position. And I'm going to invite you to curl your toes under, bring your hands to your waist, curl your shoulders back, look up. And then take one arm up to the sky, one hand remains on the waist, and do the second side. And let's just alternate reaching up here. And both arms up to the sky. And now release your hands down to the mat. Let's slide our right leg to the top of the mat. And you'll notice that we're on our left knee. I'm going to invite you to pivot and plant your left knee out so that it's more stable, floating your arms out into a T for our variation on warrior pose. And then taking a block, if you have it handy, bringing it behind you, and let's do a peaceful warrior pose on our knee. And then we'll move the block to the inside of the knee and take an extended side angle pose. You can also have your hand on your waist here if you like. You can also take the block behind the heel if you like. Good. From here, I'm going to reach back, grab a hold of my second block, and frame my front leg. I'm going to turn my knee forward, and now I'm going to sit back into my stretch. Push out through the mound of the big toe. Beautiful. And now I'm going to walk the hands back to the front using the blocks. Stay in my low lunge here, sinking into that front knee. Now my knee is not past my toes, but it's right here at the front of my toes. That's okay because the weight of this pose is in the back leg. And now pressing fully into my blocks, I'm going to lift that back leg up and come into my lunge pose here, looking slightly forward. And now bring my hands to the inside of my right leg and come into our lunge here. And then I'm going to pivot around. So let's pivot our toes around to the long edge of the mat and bring your blocks with you slowly. Coming down onto your forearms, lifting your sit bones, taking a moment to breathe. Widen your heels apart. Breathing deeply and slowly. Making sure that your knees are soft so there's no pulling behind that back knee. Breathing. Now planting your hands onto the blocks, we're going to pivot around to the back of the mat. So I'm going to take my hands, walk around to the back of the mat, pivot on the back toes, frame that front leg, and then lower that back knee down. We're going to sit in that lunge pose. Knee doesn't come past the toes, but sitting into the hips here. Taking a moment to breathe. But the knee can be in line with the toes because all your weight is in this back leg here. Bringing both hands to the inside. I'm using both blocks to the inside of that left leg. We're going to pivot the back leg around, and let's come back up into a Warrior Two variation pose. I'm going to make sure I grab my block and have it just behind me here for my Peaceful Warrior. And now hand can either come on the thigh or on a block. Come back to a Peaceful Warrior. And then taking my hand to the block, bringing it to the outside or the inside of the left foot, and taking your extended side angle pose. Beautiful. Inhaling back through Warrior Two. I'm going to grab the block that's in front. I'm going to frame the top leg. I'm going to lift the back leg up, and I'm going to transition into a lunge pose. From the lunge pose, I'm going to bring my blocks to my lowest setting, press into the hands, and step back into downward facing dog. Now, why do I have blocks underneath my hands? They lengthen my arms, because my arm length in proportion to my leg length is shorter. So I get a better stretch to the back body when I add a little bit of length into my hands. So the arms are lengthened. We're softening the chest down to the mat. We're taking a gaze back toward the toes. Taking a moment to breathe. So this is our inversion pose, much like our wide legged forward fold. Now walking your feet out as wide as your mat and slightly forward, let's walk the hands back toward the feet. Let's soften the knees. Let the crown of the head draw down toward the floor. Breathe. Hands on the waist, shoulder blades on the back. Inhale. Let's come all the way up to standing. And now reach your arms high to the sky. And then exhale, hands through heart center. And we'll walk toward the top of the mat, taking a moment just to find ourselves in Tadasana and standing. Rooting down through our feet, turning our palms forward, squeezing the shoulder blades onto the back, and just being in our bodies. Inhale, slowly reach the arms high to the sky. Right hand grabs hold of left wrist. Let's crescent over to the right. And back through center. And crescent over to the left. And then reach up with the arms, sweep them wide, bring the hands to the waist. Pull the elbows toward the back body. And then lift the gaze as you're looking up. And softening the knees, bringing the hands to slide down the front of the legs. Hands can come into a forward fold on your block. So you can bring your hands to the floor, soften your knees, crown of your head moves toward the floor. Noticing how you're feeling here. Good. Breathe. Then I'm going to take my blocks to my highest setting, and I'm going to transition back into tabletop position. So I'm going to use my blocks down, me get down, right leg back, knee down to the floor. Both blocks come to the inside of the left knee. And we're going to come back onto our knees and then move back into our seated position. From seated, I'm going to take the block behind me and I'm going to line it in the center of my mat. One thing about having these life form mats is that you can line up in the center of the mat here because there's a big line where you can line up your block. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow this block to be in the center of my back. So if you happen to be wearing a bra, it's kind of where the bra starts. If you're wearing a bra, that helps. If not, just kind of think of the center of your back, just beneath your armpits, more like at your nipple line. Then I'm going to take the other block and I'm going to place it underneath my head. And I'm going to allow, I'm going to allow the block to kind of open up the front of my shoulders. When I've been doing a lot of walking and running lately, and I've been noticing how there's a lot of forward rotation in the shoulders, I see it more in women than I do in men, but it's something that's going on for all of us. So I'd like to open up the front of the body. You can stretch your legs out if it feels better. You can keep them crossed if it feels better. You can slide a bolster underneath your knees. So I know if you're on a cork block that this may feel a little bit intense. I liken it to having a massage. I like that kind of those points of contact in my back. So just notice what's going on here as you let the props allow you to open. Now, if the block is too much, you can lay back on a bolster or a rolled blanket instead. But just this is a very nice back bend for opening up the front body, especially if your pectoral muscles are tight. We want to keep everything nice and open. Let's take a few more breaths here. Beautiful. Take a nice deep breath in. And let's bring our hands alongside our bodies. I'm going to walk my elbows in a little closer. I'm going to press down through my hands and look towards my toes and press into my hands and gently lift up. Now I'm going to slide the block out from underneath me. And now let's bend our knees slowly and lower onto our backs. So take a moment to go ahead and lower onto your back. So you can always have your blocks at the ready so that they're close by. And let's gently bring our right knee into our chest. Take a nice little stretch here. Ooh, pressing out through the heel, pressing down through the back of the body. And you can always take your knee out a little wider to make space for your belly. So if you're feeling really compressed in the center of your body, that's not what we're here for. So you can really take a moment to let that go. And then when you're ready, you can switch sides. Taking the knee out to the side, opening up the body. And then release. Bring the soles of the feet together. This is where you can have your blocks at the ready. If you want to have your blocks propping up either side of your knees, just as a little extra support, this is where we're going to start to take it down, pressing your hands on your belly, perhaps returning back to your breath. Just a very slow, mindful practice today. So go ahead and get comfortable. So if this isn't comfortable for you and you want to come up to seated, or you want to stretch your legs out to opposite corners of the mat, go ahead and do that. And let's turn our palms up to the sky, relax our shoulder blades onto our backs, and just be in the breath for a moment. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. So find that final pose that makes the most sense for you, that allows you to breathe and just relax. When you're ready, you can start to bring subtle movements back to the body, whether you're wiggling your fingers or your toes, or stretching your arms up overhead. Just allow yourself to move in ways that feel good. Maybe lacing the fingertips together and stretching the legs and the arms out. And to remove any props from underneath your body and gently maybe bring your knees into your chest and rock side to side. Oof. So allow yourself a little bit to open the body, and then float your arms out into T-knees. Go over to the right side, and then drawing the knees back through center and knees over to the left side. And then when you're ready, make your way back up to seated. Rolling all the way over to your favorite side, pausing for a moment. And then pressing yourself up to seated. Coming to a cross-legged position, folding your hands in front of your heart, and just taking a moment to notice how you feel. Thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you found this practice helpful and useful, a little de-stress perhaps for your week. Thank you so much for joining me. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you just be. Namaste, everyone.